Well, 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 chat. Happy Saturday. Welcome in. Welcome in. Chaos Destruction rejects modern society, embrace chaos and spells. Magic. I don't gotta explain shit. It's magic. Also, get out of here, interface. There we go. Welcome in, guys. How was your weekend? How's your weekend been so far? You haven't burned anything down, right? Nothing's on fire. Nothing's ablaze, if you will. Chaos Destruction. Hi, Spicy. Welcome in. Is that a Pikachu? Hi, Story. Only outer face? What do you mean only outer face? I burned my lamp. How did you manage that? God damn it, Story. There's always something on fire by me. But like, is it intentional? Is it accidental? It had it coming. So did you set it on fire, or did like your lamp like burn its lampshade or something? What's the deal here? What is the thing we're talking about? I can't burn shit means I'm freeze. Oh, okay, I see. Well, wait, no, shouldn't you be burning things to stay warm then? All I've been doing is blowing up Soviet tanks in MGS5. Metal Gear Solid 5? Is there Soviet tanks in that game? The lag on my end? No, not the lag. Hairdryer. You're burning the hairdryer, or you use the hairdryer to stay warm? That is a very goofy way to stay warm. Very noisy way to stay warm. Are we burning down chat already? No! Absolutely not. No way in hell. Not allowed. Not allowed. Goodness. But, chat, we have some things to do today. And things that I mean today is, one, I need to show y'all the new Hunter the Parenting episode, because holy fuck. Hi, Vaughn. Wait, what is that? What do you have over your head? Is that a brick with raid on it? What are you doing? Also, I'm going to steal something straight out of Fairbanks' book. You've exposed yourself. Go check out my favorite burb. Vaughn's hilarious. Vaughn also plays a lot of spooky games. More Mongolian puppet shows. No, because is that what you mean by the Mongol? Oh, you're talking about the the puppet shows in it's so fucking good. It's so good. I was like, I'll just watch it on my own last night, and that was totally fine. And I did watch it on my own, but now I want to be here with chat.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't bread over every egg.
Damn it, Ordain. But no, what I was saying is I did watch it last night, and I watched the whole thing, and I was like, oh my god, this is so good. This is like one of those things that I knew it. You son of a bitch. You're not usually live this early. Hyperlight Drifter. Ooh, did you have fun, Vaughn? Welcome in, Raiders. How was your stream? Did y'all have a good time? Did y'all enjoy Hyperlight Drifter? Let me double check. I know the name, but I don't know the gameplay of Hyperlight Drifter. Okay. Okay. It's like a pixel Souls-like? Is it pixel Souls-like? I can't tell. It's beautiful. Love your face. I love your face too, Vaughn. Baron can't get a word in. Shit's happening everywhere. And I also have the music like really loud in my ears. But welcome in, guys. Welcome in. We just started. We're going to be getting into some shenanigans today. Later, we're going to be playing a game called Paranormal HK. We're hopefully going to be finishing it because one, this game is terrifying, and two, it feels like it's going on forever. But it is a Chinese horror game that we will get to later. But first, we have a fairly long video of Hunter the Parenting because they just released their first chapter after almost 2 years, something like that. Shenanigans, what type? World of Darkness shenanigans. One of my favorite hyperfixations. One of my favorites out there. Just a second. All right. Sorry about that, chat. I picked up a Pocari Sweat because I ran to the grocery store before stream. I like the Pocari Sweat. That seems reasonable. Listen. I like my World of Darkness, okay? But Vaughn, if you need to do any of those post-stream stuff, you know, hit the bathroom, get some food, do all that jazz, I totally understand. Thank you so much for the raid. Was there a reason you were streaming so early? I'm pretty sure usually you stream a lot later. I could have swore I remember watching your streams late at night. At least recently. I'm pretty sure I was watching you play DBD the other day. Seems reasonable. I'm a creature of the void. Ordain, what are you doing? Ordain, is doing a dance the way that you like recharge your magic? Is that what we're slowly discovering before you do something ridiculous? Hey, Marin, don't hate you. You don't hate me. I don't hate you either. My goodness. My goodness. Oh my God. All right, stories redeemed is almost up. So I just checked. I'm somehow following you, even though I have never selected that option. Indeed, this is the first time I've ever been to Twitch. What the fuck? Thanks, Twitch. You are already following? Really? Let me see real quick. Because I think I can actually check. Oh, it says you've been following since yesterday. So 18 hours ago. Let me see. I can actually scroll back that far. It's not too far. Huh. Still yesterday, still yesterday, still yesterday. Huh. I don't actually see you in here. That's even weirder. That is weird. What the fuck? Yeah, I don't see your name in here. As in, like, it never did, like, an alert or anything for it. What the hell, Twitch? I'm here, I'm happy, fuck it, we ball. Yeah, I guess fuck it, we ball. Dingle dongle, amazing. Amazing. Okay, also, hold on real quick. Let me check the streaks for today. Where was it? Where did the streak start? Rivet, thank you for the 60 stream streak. Faye, thank you for the 25 stream streak. Okay, that's the only ones. That's the only ones. What the fuck? I mean, I'm here, I'm happy, fuck it, we ball. Twitch is being weird. Twitch has always been weird, but following other people's accounts is the level of weird that I don't think I've ever seen. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, don't worry, guys. Twitch is just a small indie company. Sunstar, thank you for the 275. Wait, is Carrie here? Carrie's not here. Oh, no, there's Carrie. I see Carrie saying, ah. Ah. Hi, Needs. What do you eat? What are you snacking on over there? You snacking on Ruffles? Damn. B-list potato chips at best. How could you? Hi, Simon. How are you doing? But I don't think I have anything in terms of news, guys. Let me see. Well, nothing that's good news, because weird concert woes, something about Anime Impulse LA, a murder. We're not going to talk about the murder. It involves somebody in New York and torture. How was your V-Day yesterday? I passed the hell out. It was fun. We had fun on stream. I don't usually do anything for Valentine's Day. I'm not one for Valentine's Day, typically. I don't think I've ever been. Although my grandma always used to have a joke when we were like teenagers and me and my brother were teenagers. And she would get us gifts on Valentine's Day, but they would be like goofy shit. They'd be like, I would say goofy shit, but she'd get us like deodorant, cologne or perfume, and like stuff like that. And it was always funny too, because she would show up and hand it to us, and I'd always be like, are you trying to tell me something? Are you trying to tell me that I stink? Hunter the Parenting? Hi, Vimby. How are you doing? Yeah, we're gonna watch a new episode of Hunter the Parenting in just a bit. Of course, you already heard. Yeah, Agnir, we've already
Yep, that's me.
Oh, it doesn't work on this page.
You're wondering how I ended up in this situation.
After all this time, Salvador, you should know it doesn't work on the chatting page. How could you? How could you? It's fine. It's fine. But what the heck? Huh? Okay, chat, do we want to go right into it? Because it is technically a pretty long, how you say, it is a pretty long video. It is a 50-minute video. And if you have not seen Hunter the Parenting, I do apologize. I can give you a quick synopsis up till this point. Really quickly, if anybody doesn't know what Hunter the Parenting is, it is Alpha Boosta, aka the channel that made, what was it? If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device. So if you ever seen like 40K memes and stuff, this is the same channel. Hunter the Parenting is their version of a World of Darkness campaign. Essentially, it's not actually played like a campaign. It's played like an animated series, so you don't have to worry about that. But it is essentially from the point of view of a group of hunters or a family of hunters that has been working their way through. To give you the gist of this episode, they found out that there is supposedly a ghoul in the Arcanum house, which is basically their like hunter chapter. And they broke in to warn them. And they have since locked down the entire place. And that is essentially where we are at. You watch or listen to the audio logs too? I do. I listen to them on my own time because they're not exactly fun to listen to on stream. But I do usually listen to the audio logs in my own time because they're great fun. And because the people in it are funny as fuck. Because I just like the series as a whole. And if they ever needed a voice for it, I would do that shit for free. I would do that shit for free. All right. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Do we want to get into it early, guys? Do we want to no lollygagging, no shenanigans? Okay, yeah, there's nothing new here. Nothing new. Okay. Put that away. Put that away. And then we can go ahead and just jump right on over to it. Yoink, yoink. No, I don't want to use display capture for this. Okay, there we go. No more music. No more music. I would love the voice. Hell yeah, Hex. It's also, though, if anybody has any questions, do feel free to ask. I am more than happy to answer them. Somehow crossover with zero viscosity, zero viscosity sometime. Got into Hunter the Parenting a lot after I needed to scratch an itch in the tabletop hole that I needed filled after campaign 3. Okay, I was like C3, critical role. I was like, oh, campaign 3. Okay. But welcome to Hunter the Parenting. It's also, hold on. If anybody doesn't know about the show, it originally started as a sort of like almost stick puppet kind of style of animation. And as it has come around, at this point, we have essentially, this thing has evolved into almost like a weird animated PNG. It's a mix. You will see. It's very interesting, though. It is very interesting style. Ooh, dry aging beef. Wait, Koji. What is Koji? Part 2 of 4. There's a murder while I am away. This is just the TL, not the TL. Yeah, this is basically the TLDR. Best Vindy, thank you for the follow. Welcome in here. Actually, I forgot that they gave a quick synopsis at the beginning. This will be a good rundown.
Kindred. Hope the Arcanum doesn't find out this time.
It's fine.
I don't feel like
It's
following their
fine.
steps after being banned.
No.
The Arcanum banned the hardest. The real reason he's banned is because
These are the audio logs too, if you see this format versus the partially animated format.
Tricky. More than any other supernatural creature, vampires despise being unveiled. Vampires have many agents. Ghouls, they call them. This is why
Aspen Amberwood, thank you for the follow. Welcome in.
Parasites become the forgotten myths they pretend to be. Kevin, honestly, I can't bring myself to kill you. Why not join mine?
I'm just letting everybody catch up, so I don't want to talk over this part too much.
Suppose I could tell you a secret that
A secret.
would not want hunters to know.
I got some rather tasty information out of that Kevin guy. Have ghouls in several organizations.
Because could you see the animation style I'm talking about in some of these?
When he mentioned the Arcanum as one of the afflicted orgs. Is that imposter in this chapter house?
You lie.
Part of banishment and exile. Did you not cop onto? Chancellor, we have important information obtained.
Also, I don't think they're going to cover it, but just in case some people don't get it for the shits and giggles of it, if you see this bald guy in the middle, he used to be engaged to D, the guy that's like currently cowering in the big jacket. His name's Big D. They were engaged at one point, and then they cut it off because D's an absolute fucking crackhead. And then he's apparently currently married to Blacklaw, who is the Belgian dude over on the far right side with the massive chin. So this whole show is basically just a bunch of gays getting into trouble.
On our last hunt. You're still
Oh.
hunting?
There is a mole in your chapter house, Occam.
Occam, how did this even happen?
And this is part from the first episode of them being in the house.
That's not in the Ghoul playbook. We may not be dealing with
How doing, Hiren? Is married or Bald is married? Bald is married. Big D was almost married to the bald guy, to the chapter master. They were engaged at one point. They were engaged, but he's now apparently married to Blacklaw, which they really gloss over like once. Yeah, Occam. Occam is the bald one. And he's what? He's Scottish, if I remember correctly? No, he's Scottish. Or is he extremely Celtic? Oh, look, Swirl.
Speak, mate! Speak! Wake
Spit!
up! Speak! Speak!
Spit was the one guy that was with the old man that apparently exploded, if you heard that part in the catch-up. Enjoy your Lekran! Moiter.
Mon ami. Blacklaw.
French.
I am sorry. None of your insulting sympathy, D. This is your fault.
They hate each other, by the way.
My fault.
If you don't know the lore, they hate each other.
Died under your watch. Now take responsibility.
I was scouring the chapter house of Districtus.
D isn't the imposter.
At least your blind hatreds turned up one positive.
Reminds me of Metalocalypse.
You can confirm each other's innocence.
I think Metalocalypse is more animated than this.
Sick. Never.
Also, Grimmel is a cool character, but she's also insufferable because she's a massive fucking weeb.
Fatigues is avenged.
Sound of choking down a blood feud.
Spect! Simon!
The built-in captions are so funny sometimes.
No reaction.
The middle finger.
Even under pain stimulus. He'll live. But unlike Amanda, don't expect him waking up anytime soon. I've only ever seen someone in a state like this once.
I guess random massive explosion. You get nothing. Good day.
A full-on vampire.
It may well
I swear I recognize that tone of voice from somewhere
such
else.
strength and speed.
Where?
But that goes against what Kevin told me.
I don't think that's Speaker D. I think D's playing Big D.
City is confident the vampire wasn't lying. Could the school have been promoted?
Also, chat, I want to see if you can figure out who my favorite character is. Oh, never mind. Hex already figured it out. Never mind. Carry on.
Or perhaps Kevin.
Is it really his
had no
liar from the
idea what
start?
the hell he
No!
was on about.
You cannot buy a blender at an 89p store. You don't ignore me.
No, it's usually obvious when Kevin is wrong.
D, what can you actually tell us about this master figure?
As evidenced by my lack of her head on a plaque.
It's just panning in.
But Kevin refers to her as an ancient thaumaturge, among the most formidable in England.
So if our culprit is
Listen,
that
Hex,
vampire
listen, me and you
wizard
have good taste, okay?
guy's master's ghoul, and now they're a vampire.
Knowing huge weeb, but
like
also she's just a
Kevin,
textured character with real insecurities. Yeah, exactly. I can agree with that.
Like mind control.
Was massive explosion to an ant? True.
Brainwashed into attacking Fennegue.
Unlikely. A normal human guy could not have done this. Here, review my
And it's
thesis,
Spit.
Doctor.
Look at him, for fuck's
A
sake.
bloody train hit him, not a person.
So, this would have demanded unnatural strength.
Not a common trait among the wizards. I
True.
certainly don't remember Kevin suplexing many of us.
Suplex.
We be dealing with
I like her as a character. Unsure of how I feel about her as a person. Elise? Elise is a great character.
Animal type? Or even a member of La Gostra Nostra?
The powers of the
I
perfidious
still can't figure out who they're
undead
referring to with the Ghostra Nostra. Is that supposed to be like the Giovanni?
You've all witnessed each other in daylight, yes?
Why do you have a Molotov?
Don't forget to just answer the question.
Chancellor?
Harry,
Shaking the Molotov in the very take the Molotov! Crime brulee! Crime brulee! Crime brulee!
4 months ago.
I missed the luau.
We can have our own luau.
It's not
Just
the
wouldn't be
same.
the same without fatigue.
Hold on, chat. I'm gonna give you a moment to take in. Look at that beast of a woman. I love her. What do you mean? How can you not love her? Look at that. Also, this picture is apparently 2 years from present. It's 2006. That's actually
evidence from
important.
the past days.
That is important.
I got here at 8:30 a.m. with Amanda, if that helps.
Oh, yeah. Times, hours,
Minutes.
Nora!
What is Nora?
Me and the boys walked in here bright and early for some calming workplace day drinking.
Day drinking. perfect.
And you heard all about me, Harry, and Elise with the wig and kebab. Jesus, what's with the explosive, though?
If there's a way to fully ascertain a vampire's
Does it technically count as an explosive if it doesn't explode until it's thrown?
Intrinsic fear of fire. No one has had any beastly reaction.
So, it can't be a full vampire.
There are vampires that can resist the Rutschreck.
Just butcher it.
That can walk in the sun. Yet such feats require
And
an
Rorschach.
immense strength of will.
Rorschach.
Not expect
Just
a
barf it out.
embraced vampire to have.
Everyone has seen each other in the
Thinking
sun
of the
within
small
last
sadness
4
scene from
months,
Neverending
so
Story.
that still
Boo!
necessitates a recent embrace. Unless we're dealing
So
with
much
one
to
of
love.
those
There's so much to
Daywalker
love, Hex.
types.
You're right.
Daywalker. No, almost assuredly not, son-in-law. But something isn't right here. Perhaps this
I think by
creature was a
Daywalker,
treasure
in this point, he's referring to Half-Bloods.
their mental fortitude.
He's I think he's thinking about Half-Bloods in Vampire the Masquerade.
What's more, this kill?
They're not exactly a measured killer, this blank of ours.
It reeks.
Humans
of
call
thirst.
vampires blanks, or at least hunters do. Hunters call vampires blanks
When a fledgling vampire
because they
is
kind of gloss
overwhelmed by
over
beastly
the terminology in this
hunger,
episode.
They attack like a beast. But a
Look at her.
freshly cleansed thaumaturge
Look at her, she's
can both
fantastic.
This strength and the ability,
I love
no,
her.
even the presence of mind to dominate Simon. But our culprit cannot be an old vampire because that would be too obvious. It would have been found out months ago. We
True.
are missing some crucial information.
We've certainly got loads of unanswered questions. Like, why would the killer do this to
Yeah,
Pettigrew,
side
but
profiles.
spare
Look at her, she
Malcolm?
juicy. I'm sorry.
Chancellor
John Twitch
is
Chat thinks you should
the
stab that guy. What?
How well Fatigue is
Wait,
liked,
stab which guy?
we can rule out sentiment.
Spit could be faking it, you know. Might just be playing the victim.
Come on, Lilda. Simon can like cool slashing pennies from a fountain.
We're talking murder here, Amanda. Do you really think playing dumb's beyond the pale?
Well, you know, I was electrocuted. It's a miracle
Yeah,
I
she
can
was
think of.
plugged into like a really shitty lie detector machine that essentially just shocked the person until they told the truth of something, any kind of truth.
Done with this. Arkham,
Is this
hit
Archer?
everyone
No,
with
this
your
is Hunter the Parenting. Hi, Gamma.
Hit the board first and then.
My solar sorcery is spent. When I was strangled, I used up all my stored sunlight trying to ward off my attacker.
Your powers should have availed you against a vampire.
Oh, I know.
What is up with his
Makes me
teeth
think
sticking out of his
Strangle's
lips?
Mind controlled.
Bloody hell.
Can I go home now?
No.
I think I've heard enough. It's time for some action. All of you, line the walls. Anyone
Some
with
shit
weapons,
powers. Listen,
stand
that's
armed.
the, here.
No.
That's the thing with magic in World of Darkness. And he's not a mage, he's a sorcerer, which means like everything that he has to come with some like big prep. And so the big prep was spent, and so he has no way to do prepared now because they're also all locked inside the house. Universal agreement? I agree. Big agree. Especially big goth women. Hey Chad, if you didn't know,
Then
they also hint at it that because in the previous episode when they show their IDs, when Elise shows her ID, it says brother Elise Culpepper, and then brother is crossed out in Mark's sister. So do with that information what you will. Anyway,
who
Anyway.
can vouch for another's whereabouts during the incident?
and it's not because the ID always says brother. A Grimmel starts with sister.
We were all together when we heard the screams.
Who exactly?
So
Marcus,
serious.
Sadi, Grimmel, Remold, Brock, Amanda, and I were all accounted for.
I love that he's been taking notes this whole time.
I can confirm.
Hedge
Dr.
mage, not
Walters
vulgar.
woke
True
me up
magic,
just before we
paradox.
heard it.
Exactly.
Any other alibis?
I was alone, checking through Dr. Waters' office for supplies on the 3rd floor.
I was also on the 3rd floor. I thought I heard Amanda up there and I went looking.
Really? I didn't see you.
Yeah, because when the screaming fucking started, I fucking ducked for cover, didn't I?
Hey, I didn't mean anything bad.
She's a bitch this entire time.
Didn't catch sight of you, either.
But what the bloody hell are you trying to get at?
Oh, don't forget about Elise. She was also with us.
I wasn't.
Honesty.
I went for help before the screaming started.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone else?
I love her voice too.
No? Well, thank you.
I went
Elise.
for
Your
help before the
honesty is
screaming
appreciated.
started.
Now prepare to be detained.
Okay.
Silence! One of you is a
Was that a
culprit,
British?
and I am of the mind that it is you, Git.
Huh? What are you saying?
Why were you so conveniently absent during our polygraph test?
He was with Fatigue,
Hanging out with.
and then had to go take a shit.
Who was
I
fat?
think.
When a smart move letting an old bloke wander into the ruckus you were making. We took him to the pub here, sat him down, and listened to his yarns about his country yams or whatever.
Country yams. Oh god, that is a big yam.
Right here. Then things went pear-shaped. Spit yelled.
No one preps like that, man. True.
Them yells turned to screams.
With multiple circles inside of it, with even more circles? Maybe. Maybe there was.
I heard this awful racket and tried to rush out, but something must have fell on the door because I was stuck. After
Of course, the stuffed bear.
I stopped trying. Tried to keep quiet like.
Nodders, 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 nodders.
Like a bleeding coward.
Coward you are.
Eventually the smashing stopped. I heard Spit bowling. That's where I had another.
Spit was ballin'. I'm sorry. That's all I could picture seeing that the second time. Spit was ballin'.
Go with it.
Quick, somebody go edit the fucking shithead's head on top of like a basketball player going for a dunk.
You happy? It weren't me, and it weren't Spit.
Silence!
Pop! Git and Spit are good old pint-drinking, footy-loving, truck-driving,
What is footy-loving?
Norfolk lives.
I don't care how many trucks they drive. They have no one to vouch for them.
Well, if in Git and Spit and each other's alibis, how comes the Doc and Oakham gets to vouch for each other?
Think, lughead! Git was at the scene of the crime. Spit's comatose!
It's true. Either one could be faking it, or Spit could have done that first kill thing and been like overwhelmed with guilt.
You haven't.
Guilt? Question mark.
Just jumping on me with no proof other than just because I was in the room. But I'm a victim.
Oh,
I am.
the poor little
Please,
spaz.
let me go, boss. Please, please.
He's resisting. Kick him.
No more fighting.
I like that even like Brock is kicking him, but he's like sweating it out. I think that's the funniest part to me.
The tessellation. Carry it in here.
Time to
It
get the
should be
box.
Right outside.
Box can teleport?
I can go into detail about how the box moves, or I can help us solve the murder. Pick your poison.
Why'd you make us move it then?
Team building
Building
exercise.
exercise, which you cocked up. D.
I like the
Rebel,
phrase
Rebel,
cocked up.
carry it
Chat, I'm gonna
into
start
the
telling you
bathroom.
when you fucked something up that you
Simon will be
cocked it
stored
up,
in
okay?
the tessellation.
Congratulations.
Behavior prior to this
Congratulations, you
is
cocked it up.
suspicious, without doubt. Remember
Wait,
what I said
staff
about
pick?
nasty visible withdrawal symptoms? He has shown them generously. We also never saw him put blood into his goblet. He did it.
What is the staff pick urinal?
Right,
Somebody
you were in a
explain.
panic after we talked. Can we call it that?
It hurts me to think.
Oh, I'm noticing things too. I'm just not mentioning them.
But
I'm sorry if I'm saying like spoilers. I'm trying to avoid it, but it's the weirdest thing with this series.
Even as we go forward, with the assumption that it could be anyone else. The remaining suspects will remain handcuffed to the wall.
Aw.
Careful watch.
They weren't sterilized, so I couldn't use the fuzzy ones.
Is there any disconcerting habit you don't have?
No. The lip pop. Nope.
I won't lie, I'm deathly afraid.
Unavoidable, Mr. Jones.
I didn't notice the lip pop
No
before.
matter what, someone will be in a position to be hurt. This measure, I hope, minimizes
Collateral?
That's a bit callous.
When has Occam ever been known for his bedside manners?
all.
Is anybody here known for their bedside manners?
And that's
Maybe
why
Elise.
The next step is arming ourselves to the bloody teeth.
They are
Ooh.
raising the third floor though.
You're running off?
We can't split up again.
No, son-in-law! Occam is right! If an attack happened now, we would ensure... This is heavy. Ensure forces mingling in one place! We cannot afford to just stand around and wait it out!
I feel like they didn't strain nearly this hard moving it the first time.
We'll visit the army.
Chancellor, no! Last we split, disaster followed.
Be pragmatic, son-in-law. The previous farce was complete disunity. There was
Complete
no
disunity.
plan, and any attempts to have one were thwarted by
Hell yeah, ghosts have fun playing Cyberpunk.
unmentioned parties.
Unmentioned parties.
Key immediate retaliation from the
I like the
culprit.
gugh at the beginning of that.
What if one of us is dominated?
There is a risk in anything we do. Another attack is inevitable.
I like when you
whether
can
it
tell the
happens now
artist
or
change
later.
with the
Doesn't matter
PNGs.
at this juncture.
Very interesting at
Things like
times.
this, you might have a fighting chance.
With just Black Claw at the back.
The less able will be out of the line of fire until they return. Left, Brockham, left! Which they're all
Lift, damn it!
Oh, yeah. While the rest of us get to sit nice and tidy in a bathroom full of monsters.
Well, not full of monsters, Lila. I mean, there's just one. Right?
He's all gonna die.
We're all gonna die.
It's either get the arms or await the inevitable attack without them. Which possibility would you?
Kid never finished it. You should, Hex. You should definitely go play through Cyber. Every single one of you in chat needs to go play through Cyberpunk. I don't care what you say. Go play through
You are the
Cyberpunk.
Master Hunter. Into your
are
hands,
the Master Hunter.
I commit my spirit.
And you will not be forsaken.
That is such a
Now,
weird way
these
to
are
put
means
that. Why did it feel like they
communicate
just
with
did a
each other
chant?
while divided like this.
Or
Gloria,
exchanged
I
a
assume you
code
have some
phrase.
sterilized walkies for our use?
Passing out walkies.
Walkies.
Hell, Jaguar, this is Crime Hawk report again, over.
Marcus Amaz dead.
Copy that.
Why does I realized before too, but it later in the show last time. Why does he make the fucking sound himself?
We
Over.
go now.
Me clicking the button on the walkie-talkie over and over. If you want to read that, you can read it. It's mostly backstory stuff. It's mostly extreme backstory stuff. But often not relevant to the story.
1 second, let me find my key.
Somewhat irrelevant now, but this thing between me and Dad.
Okay,
The
goodness.
war.
Sorry, had to
I
cough.
forgot, like,
I would have ran a delinquent with the bat build. I've done that before. It works.
Once we're home.
It's not another lodestone, is it?
No, not that.
Lodestone.
See that wizard plush out on the local
Oh
station?
no.
Marcus, it is 2006. I only watch Google Video.
Last
What?
right there. Anyway, it was very Kevin-esque, but that's essentially me saying all wizards look the same.
What is Google
But
Video?
Give me an idea. Check it.
I don't remember Google Video in 2006.
Think you'll like it.
It's hideous.
Is this how you visualize his face?
Yes.
It's a brave
Yes.
choice.
Oh, thank goodness, it's a brave new world. I have a blush for you too.
A blush.
And Dor, and Boy, and everyone else in the family.
Everyone.
Got one for every person in Norfolk, probably. I figured we could
Wait.
start selling them for a profit.
Marcus, did you
Wait.
order these?
Yes.
Marcus,
Hey chat. You want a deep
how
flash?
many did you order?
Well,
And then, not even joking, you can order it, and it actually says that this will be the canon number that he ordered in the future. Anyway, that's actually kind of funny. That was just a dumb ad read. Hi, Blacklaw, what the fuck are you doing back there? Would you like a blush, Marin? I don't think I do.
This is not right.
For how bloody that was, that is a very clean sheet.
This is their last opportunity. You really are missing something.
Very much so.
Rockham! What?
There's the weeb.
Coordinate an investigation.
You in Remold?
A beloved friend and colleague is dead. I must honor the Blacklaw history as the Arcanum's Avengers, no matter what. Besides, hardly the first time I've had to coordinate with D on something like this.
I like how chiseled they made his face. It's so funny to me for some reason.
Me, the sea cucumber, and a plank who got 'em good.
Ah, yes, the Yowie paddle. I forgot she has a Yowie paddle.
And don't get cheeky with it.
You know we're fucked, yeah? Like I said, if whoever did that to Fatigue is in this room,
Tied to this wall.
we're already dead.
Reference?
Fuck off!
Boss!
Did she spit? I still couldn't figure out what that was. Did she spit?
Smokes are around. Please, boss. Someone nicked him and I'm dying without me wrong.
Calm down, Kate. See,
Brains turned to sub-sludge.
Rock, mate.
Also, yeah, we saw his cigarettes earlier. They're not regular cigarettes, chat.
A lot of you.
They're the special kind. They're the devil's lettuce cigarettes.
Whatever his name is.
To what, specifically?
That old speech he gave earlier. If the vampires are here, we're dead. If they're not, do you honestly think they're going to let us get weapons? See, we gave complete power to someone who had been out of sight for hours. A guy who could be a monster.
Wait, which guy?
Mind control.
I think Arkham is dominating.
Not the instant transmission sound.
Finished our deliberation.
And we will start by addressing your theory. It is a valid concern. Being a practitioner of solar sorcery intrinsically makes one harder to dominate, at least at the level
I think if they give him a halo.
His very synapses are addled with vitamin D!
D?
Well, maybe he was turned all Dracula-like.
Impossible! A vampire would ruin itself using solar witchcraft. And we've all seen him use his pagan magics earlier tonight.
My brain still
True.
clicks with radiation.
Well, maybe you're in on it. Or maybe Fanagu's
Or maybe you're just a little weirdo, kid.
faking it with some vampire body explosion magics. Use lots been mind controlled in a set.
There's the withdrawal.
Getting helter skelter on this gate. Sorry, boss.
Sorry, boss.
Theory, but no.
Gentle strangulation? Yeah, gentle strangulation. Would still be in fashion by this point. It is 2006. It's 2006.
And left both the archives and this pub without notice.
Presumably when we were all leaving the archives.
I know this was son-in-law's assumption, but we surely would have noticed.
Maybe someone stole an archive key from one of the old guard.
The entire building shines and shakes when the archive wards dissipate. It would have been noticed.
There's hidden entrances all over the mansion. Maybe one of those.
I'm still also trying to figure out fucking like height charts. I can't tell for sure, but I think Elise is taller than Harry, and I know for sure Harry's taller than D.
Extensive remodeling after the maintenance worker
Is Elise taller than D?
Night of the 1974 Grand Egyptology Congress. After he choked to death on argon gas, all backroom access was removed.
The culprit simply has to have entered through the vault.
Did the mummy release argon gas?
As for the pub, there is an immediate
You're just glossing over that. We're glossing over the fact that the mummy released argon gas.
The room was locked, and none of us are bloody, despite how gory the murder was.
Yeah, none of us. Except Spit.
Bloody hell.
The Spit?
Maybe it
Oh, did Spit have blood on him?
No killer.
Apparently discovered who Jack Ripper. What? No.
With him all day, helping him through his.
Which should not be questioned. Understood.
What I don't get is why anyone.
Yes, Elise
killed
big, and that's
Fanagu.
what's important.
I was a saint.
You'd be surprised. He made many enemies. In his prime, Fatigue's family was amongst the most skilled hunters in England.
Oh yeah, we get to see young Fatigue. Look at this man.
Protecting these lands from Fae, lichens,
Look at that
and
beefcake.
other devilries
That
since
smile.
before the Norman conquest.
What, really? That wee old man?
In days past, even I came to him for wisdom. But an ancestry like that comes with ancient hatreds. Even if you choose to walk.
Look at that handsome devil.
as he did.
Want a link in Discord? Wait, for what? Yes, put it in Discord. The media share. Put it in media share.
Held under blood bond, it takes the greatest of willpower to resist thy master for even a moment.
The fucking blood from the eyes.
Files theory for a moment, and again look at the secret.
I want to say I remember a couple years ago they made like a weird announcement.
I could see how they connected some rooms, but I could not get a lay of them before I received revelation from beyond.
The dodo bird lives.
You and them secret corridors are actually useful for moving around, though.
I know you prefer sneaking through the vents.
Used to before Occam told me not to.
Vents? Son-in-law, write that down.
He's not here.
Do everything myself.
Just scratches, write that down on the fucking wall.
Look for any secret passages or ventilation shafts connected to the crime scenes.
I know one.
Do you?
Of course I do. Clean the bloody place, don't I? And it's back there. The dresser in the corner with them strange marks on it. It's bolted to
The
wall,
obvious claw marks.
And it's got a fake back.
These marks.
A trail of blood.
That's the entire trail of blood is on everything. Hey, wait a second. That's a maid apron. Okay. Anyway,
One way to find out.
there's a maid apron covered in blood hanging in this closet. Huh. I cast release Alucard. No, Ordain. Too bad. You get nothing. Good day,
Chancellor,
sir.
why are we stopped here?
Good lord, look at that nun.
Archives? We're going to the armory?
Yes, we are indeed at the place we are and going to the place we're headed.
I oughta.
Just a moment.
Why I oughta. Listen, I love that fucking sarcasm. I'm sorry. That was a good bit. Empty.
As suspected.
What?
It's not here.
Oh, the hunter data.
Correct.
Oh, actually, yeah. Maybe it's the lonesome one. Should we radio back?
Why was it
Maybe give them
in
to
a
search the others.
globe?
Yet.
And
Why?
who knew about the globe?
Why not?
The minute we announce that we're going to thoroughly search everyone, that'll signal to the vampire that they've been had. They'll attack, and we'll not have the firepower yet to help out.
It's relatively unreal right now. Oh my god.
The pain of being Amanda.
Marcus.
While we're here, got any magical artifacts?
So when I was watching this the first time, I was also playing a game on the other monitor, and I think that was a mistake. I think this is very much first monitor
maybe.
fucking video.
It's a long shot, though.
Well, don't leave me in suspense.
What does that look?
Oculus Imperium.
Cool. Very Latin.
What does this Oculus do, Chancellor?
It's an artifact that may
Undo
help
this
us
lock and send me forth on a
identify
moonlit
the
walk.
supernatural.
Release restraint
Problem is,
level.
It's very
0.
selective about who.
I forgot what you were saying for a second until halfway through.
We wish I knew. Fatigue was the only one who could
The
make the
DNA
damn thing
degrades
work.
much like
Even then,
everything
it
else in the body.
stopped for
True.
Many years.
We can't search here and go for guns in a timely manner, Chancellor.
I could, stay and look for it.
Look, Marcus!
With the data already gone, this is the safest place in the building. Ironically. Besides, I can't carry a rocket launcher right now. I'm basically useless.
Marcus,
Wait, what was that about a rocket launcher?
you convinced me.
What?
Yes.
Worth a shot.
Jubilation,
Yes.
trepidation,
Contact us.
amazing.
Excellent. I won't let you down.
Please be careful.
I love when the captions are part of the bit.
Love you, Hell Jaguar. Over.
Also, yeah, they're engaged.
Now.
In case anybody didn't know, Marcus and basically red hair and blue jacket are engaged. This whole show is gay. I'm sorry, I don't make the
I
rules.
suppose I shouldn't be surprised that your return would be heralded with such fanfare.
Sure, we'll call it that.
Well,
Oh, quit the modest routine.
I hadn't exactly expected this situation to devolve.
What
quite
the
like
fuck
it
is
has.
that?
Ah, there's your issue. Expectation. Once you step
Did
foot
it just
into the
move?
supernatural, nothing ever goes perfect. It either goes well enough, or you've got months of physical and bureaucratic cleanup.
Isn't that also an expectation?
Bang on.
The kid pointing at Elise's backside.
It'll serve you better than your last one. Believe you me. Point being, you're handling yourself cannily. Be at least a little proud of that.
Right.
Okay.
It's just hard to see that when.
Well, darkness has gone woke.
someone's
Listen,
dead.
have you ever played World of
Ain't
Darkness?
that the truth?
Nothing straight about World of Darkness ever. Wait, the 40k? Yes, it is, Smoky
that's
Medic.
them.
Hi, Medic.
Right, let's be quick about this. Grab what you're used to and arm up.
Oh, that's a gun.
Oh, this stuff legal?
No. Laughter of disobedience of gun laws.
No.
That's the Newberg group.
Who?
The Newberg Group. Does anybody know what the Newberg Group is?
You know,
Hi, Biggles.
we'd like you back, Neophyte.
You do? But I'm not sure I even fit in with the Arcanum anymore.
Gun.
Gun.
I mean, the sort of structure and mysticism of the Arcanum is a far cry from.
Murder and kidnapping?
I wouldn't call it that. Maybe.
No.
Listen, lad. To be an Arcanist is to have a burgeoning sense
I used to press
of
watch today. It
curiosity
was fun until the
that
sun
is
came out.
tempered by an
Wait,
understanding
why
of
did it
realities
suddenly
you
stop
know
being
of,
fun when the sun came out?
to respect the supernatural, to protect the world from it, and to protect it from the world.
Look at this dude.
You've still got that curiosity, yeah?
Of course. Just.
That's all you'll need.
He's getting nosy.
What about Marcus and
Box.
Sir D, actually?
Ooh, that's a smirk.
Theirs is a curiosity.
It's an
not
eye.
innate.
Cool.
We tried to
Cool.
glad, but we have trappings.
Does anybody know what that symbol means?
D and his children.
That's not a demon eye, is
even
it?
Marcus. They'll see the
I couldn't
end of the
figure that out
road
earlier. I
and
didn't
down
recognize the
everything.
symbol on the eye.
That debacle with London, the Ruffton arson, the Christmas party.
The Christmas
Goal to
party!
make the world a better place. To pierce the veil of the
And if you pull the string, you find pictures of Big D at the Christmas party!
our patience, our
I'm sorry, I had to make that joke.
all traits I believe you have, Neophyte.
And Marcus
Oh.
doesn't?
As long as we survive tonight, and he
Is that-
doesn't do anything utterly
Is that
bloody
blood or
stupid,
what am I looking at?
I'll hope for Marcus. Try for him.
Oh,
But D and
Oh.
others.
I understand.
following something.
And that's really all I can ask.
Ah, the vents.
So there is a way.
What have you found, Brock?
Ah.
Bloody blood trails leading into the security room.
Why did the thing slide like that?
Is locked. Someone with security access had to have been here. Hold on.
He managed to make the eye work? Define work. Define work.
Observe radio silence, Mr. Blacklaw.
I have been.
No, Remold, I wasn't talking to...
How dare you besmirch the Blacklaw name in such a way?
Mother of God.
Right, shut it. I hear something.
Arsenal versus the soccer scores on the fucking. Oh god, he's got a chair.
Vance?
Hit him, hit him.
Nah, false alarm, lads. Was just Marky.
I knew it, I knew it. The fucking smirk, the tiny smirk.
Are you an empty
That's not a steel chair, that's like a plastic chair.
I was following a trend. There was a vent in the archives that whoever...
Archives, huh? Weren't you supposed to be in the shooting room?
We made a stop! The person who attacked Arkham had to have gone through the vents to get there!
Oh. Okay.
That's what they all say.
Who the hell is they?
I don't know!
I was about to say the same thing.
You sure are! There's
Thanks,
a
Slackjaw.
camera in here, I assume? Yes?
We've got cameras in every room.
The Brock
There's a
box
few
up top.
outside, like, except the
Spit.
archives, the
Wait,
dorms, and
Spit,
whatnot.
Brock, and Get. They have stars. They have a gold star. Says, look at Get. Get's a good boy.
People on the bog.
Ah, we got one on the bog.
Sickening.
Why ain't the one in the security room responding? The hell? Ain't the pub cameras nothing but gobbled crap? Sign for the coroner.
Probably
to
broken.
lean to it.
God damn it, it's been tampered with!
Bloody stupid thing, what?
Wait, can you check until just before the camera in this room went offline?
I like how serious Marcus looks in this scene for some reason. He's got like clenched jaw going on here.
What?
Gwimmel.
No, it couldn't be.
No, sad Grimmel. Trollop.
Yes, you! You were in the security room tonight, shortly before the feed cut, which makes you the prime suspect in Arkham's bludgeoning!
Didn't do bleeding shit! Tell him, Mr. D!
I'm afraid I cannot. While I can claim for the death of Fatigue, I cannot vouch for
Is
your
this Magnus?
movements when
Yes,
Arkham
yes
was
it is.
assailed.
Maybe
Hey, if you listen, if you have not figured out that these people are like based off a whole bunch of the original, what is it? If the Emperor had a text speech device, like this is the Emperor. Big D is the Emperor. He's Big E, okay? He's Big E. It's just a letter back. He's now Big D. It's the same people who played those characters, and they kind of do it in the same voices. So if you've seen that, you probably recognize the voices.
somebody else was in there with me.
You think? Ugh. Oh, okay. I just realized the spit.
Good, my brain is...
What is she doing back there? Oh, there's something in the top of her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Me. I met her in there.
She has
I was gonna
Get
mention it
cigarettes!
when it was my turn.
It says gifts right there on the
But
top.
yeah, I met the trollop in the security room.
My Growbounce codpiece! Is anyone else withholding information?
Right, explain yourself.
like I said.
Wait, what the fuck did
this
you
is
say?
all part of my
Cognismentis,
testimony.
isn't it? Just like really quietly.
I was gonna go get some fresh air. and
What
as
the fuck
soon
does
as I
that mean?
opened the door to
Cognismentis?
get in, she's in there by the computer. She practically sprung up when I came in. Look, I didn't give a damn. I figured I'd just surprise you all. But looking back on it, pretty strange for someone who used to crawl through the vents, eh? I mean,
True.
you just happened to be in the same room with the security system and vent access to the archives.
The only reason I was even in that room was
I mean, do the
needed
vents
some
go
bloody
from
distance
one room to the other?
from
First episode, trying to figure out the voices. Yep.
I had an argument with the well, my ex basically. I needed some fresh air.
And destroying our security equipment made that air.
Yeah,
all the
Grimmel
fresher,
and
didn't it?
was it Kitten? Oh, they're just supposed to be Kitten. We'll go with Kitten. Grimmel and Kitten at some point were like dating.
You forgot I was tortured by you.
That's a face.
You was being torn apart.
Well, I don't know nothing about that, but you and I were there around the time Ockham was assaulted, yeah? Unless someone was just chilling in the vents till we left, one of us must have done it, yeah?
One of us, you say? One of us, you say?
One that puts you under suspicion as well.
Hey, I was where I was. What do you want me to do about it? Sides, you seen this maid outfit, bruv? I am desperate for fucking cash, yeah? I'm not about to choke out my fucking employer.
Please, you got probably one of the worst jobs in the house. Sounds like a motive to me.
Sure,
Does
sure,
it?
but let's not forget.
Does it?
You were on frame just before the power cut to the camera, and I know for a fact that you stole the keys from Git to get into the room.
Huh? You!
I did it!
You stole me smokes too, didn't you?
She very obviously has the smokes. Why has nobody noticed that yet? Hi,
I
Undead.
stole them from Git when he had his
That's
back
Elise.
turned.
Look at her. She's flawless.
You emo bin!
Grimmel's not lying. I caught up with her after the argument, gave her the joints and the key.
I love her. She's
No one
huge
uses the
in
security
every way.
office, and I figured she'd soon need somewhere quiet and safe to get blasted and forget.
That's Elise Culpepper, Undead. Now go have fun. Go scroll Tumblr with her name. Go Google her name on Tumblr. I say Google. Go search her name on Tumblr. You'll have a good time, I promise.
I mean, a lot was going on.
Well then, new theory.
Okay,
Elise gave Grimmeline the keys.
obviously.
Very possibly her orders as well.
Hell, do you know what you're saying?
No.
No. Surely my memory's hazy, but I was in kinda.
A fugue state? Not an uncommon side effect of domination.
I'm gonna sit here and start blaming the best characters in this series. How dare you? I don't use Tumblr. You're missing out. You're missing out. You're missing out when it comes to the World of Darkness stuff. For some reason, the biggest communities and like art communities for World of Darkness is on Tumblr. Then there's her wrist.
Why is your wrist all wrapped up?
What? My wrist?
It's Elise's old hair tie.
I mean, hold on.
Burnt like a sunburn.
Does that really look like a sunburn?
Occam's soulless sorcery.
No, it's just a damn liar burn. I don't remember fully right now, but Elise gave me.
A hairband.
Yeah.
To cover it up.
I mean, you kind of do need to cover a burn.
So let's keep score then.
Otherwise, it just
Elise
becomes
stole the
irritated.
keys. She gave the keys to Grimmel. Grimmel was in the security room. She's got those burns, which Elise helped hide.
You still have the
Grimmel's
cigarettes?
memories fucked, and to top the whole thing off, they only got each other for hours.
Can I go home now?
Can I go home now?
Oh, I just guessed. I didn't remember if that was actually the thing.
Grimmel.
Blacklaw, hold. We haven't.
The evidence points it clearly, D.
Does it?
I shall only look where this has-born lies in a bleeding hate.
Boy, why do you have my smokes?
What?
The fucking style.
I do. It's strange you got them when this whole case circling around who robbed me. How'd you get them?
Blame Fish Lips over there. She gave them to me when we met in the security.
I certainly don't bloody remember that.
Yeah, okay, but
That is such
you
an
got
interesting
Dracula's
style too. The fucking different
brain
styles are
disease or
fucking
whatever.
throwing me.
So again,
Oh, the fan art is exactly what you expect it to be.
At least giving me those keys, saying to find somewhere to cool off, like the security room. Then
Just high off her ass.
I figured
Yo, was that Iron Brew on the grounds?
it's rubbish lighter, but here's
Oh shit, ad break. Okay, we're gonna go back a little bit. We're gonna go back to like this point, and then I will give y'all the words on stream really quick. I'm gonna be a little late on it. I totally missed the timer. I saw the timer when it started counting down. I just didn't realize it went by so fast. Okay. All right, guys, we'll be back in a couple minutes. And then we'll finish up this video, and then we can get into the game right afterwards. All right. We're getting to the real meat and potatoes of it, guys, I promise. I'm sorry. Hi, Guru. Welcome in. Sorry, I had to think of I had to stare at it for a second. Okie dokie. We're almost good to go. We've only got 20 seconds, so we're not going to do another round on this one. So let me go ahead and put that away. Stop the music. I rewound a little bit, and commercial break will be ending shortly. Oh, God, where did my mouse go? Mouse? Mouse, hello? Okay, there we go. There we go. I found it. All right. Hi, Fake. How are you doing? Shit, I have to go to bed. Good night. Ordain, you don't want to write it out? Ordain, please. Please. There's 10 minutes left. There's like 10 minutes left to this. Please, I beg you. I promise you it is worth it. Please, Ordain, please. Please, for me. For me, you got to see the payoff. You got to see the payoff. But we will get back into it. I just rewound it a little bit. It's basically the point where Grimmel's going to say, I don't remember that happening, but we'll see what happens.
ever. So again, who cares?
I remember Elise giving me those keys, saying to find somewhere to cool off, like the security room.
I know it's past midnight there, Ordain, but it's 10 minutes. Come on, you made it through the first 40 minutes.
Rubbish lighter, but
You might as well see the full payoff.
if I was
I cast Second Wind. Second Wind.
Occam, why did you enter security and end up with those smokes?
I just, the way I just said, am I missing something?
You're all missing one very important, crucial, completely unmistakable detail in all of this.
Okay.
I still ain't got my smokes back.
God damn it.
Take your stupid smokes! You sound so bloody
Uh-oh.
sure of
Uh-oh.
yourself. Pushing blame onto Elise.
It's the data.
Get out of my face.
2006. What do you save data on?
That command, good
Weeb.
Till, why'd you bung this in here for?
Hello.
The hunter data! That could only mean...
You...
The fucking yaoi paddle.
Shit! Should have done the stakes.
And this is where the budget went. Here's where the budget is, chat. Let's go.
What's going on?
She's a humanimal type vampire.
I won't allow this! Gibberin, Exiana! Fatigue. Let my aim be.
Did I miss it? Okay, good. Yeah, you didn't miss it. You didn't miss it, Jax.
Out! Out!
This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. And she didn't burst into flames. Chunk. Oh, I'm sure this is fine. I'm sure this is fine. God, that looks so good. Be true to our hearts. No, don't kill the hot one. It's too bad. Is it? No, the fuck it ain't.
Bloody hell.
Thank you, God, who takes us in Polis and Gruggus and all the other cavemen dead.
Do not tarry! Get away! That was a phosphorus bullet. The vampire is deader than ever. The Regent
It's not a vampire.
couldn't survive such a shot. But think! Vaticu's expertise, those marks, this murder. This was never a vampire!
There's the music.
Out! Everyone out!
Oh, it's so good. All right, none of y'all better get horny over this. Keep it civil. Rivet, no! Keep it civil. Keep it civil.
The whole time he's been good.
Ooh. Delirious panic. Say hello to delirium, chat. Humans can't look at werewolves, otherwise they'd basically go crazy. Which is why Spit couldn't look, couldn't talk or anything. Oh, it's so good. Eat yaoi paddle, bitch. Oh. Damn. Fine, let me get my silver. Nobody brought silver, though. Nobody brought silver. Eat shit, she bitch. She beast. Uh-oh. Say hello to the rights of the werewolves. AKA werewolf magic. What the fuck is she doing? I am Brew. Moth. Hit the deck! He's got his chair. I saw the chair in that shadow.
This is how a Black Law handles business!
Chiseled. Oh! Okay, that's a scene. Well, pierce her own hand on this chest, I guess. Yeah, welcome to Hunter the Parenting, Roderick. Welcome to all of the improvement they've done over the years, because holy shit. Oh, there's the Shuckman shit. Well, they're stepping sideways. Jesus, that was cool.
Warrior of Gaia!
You could greet, goodness, you could greet and meet off those.
The realm of souls.
No, she's not a glasswalker. That was
The
just stepping
werewolf
sideways.
dragged Marcus into the Umbra.
We need to go after him now.
We can't.
Why?
Waters, tend to the wounded. Remold.
Yes.
They have no
Contact
way
the
of stepping into the spirit
Quick
world.
About it. It's gonna be a long night.
When this one has a bunch of gore? Wait. Oh. That was interesting. Okay. Okay, that was really good. I'm sorry. I had to make y'all watch that one. There's not much else to this. They do like a goofy skit at the end with like Fatigue. Here's Fatigue.
What might this place be? Where am I?
Say hi to God. Sound of God.
Your stains have been many, but like a bathroom floor, you have scrubbed yourself clean.
And no other plot. Ooh.
At a time, lad. Welcome to fucking heaven!
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much that's it. That's pretty much it. Y'all watch episode 4? We not today, we didn't watch it on stream, but we watched it a while back. We watched it on stream a good while back. But I'm gonna guess we're probably not gonna see another one of these for like another 2 years. Let me double check. When was the last? So there's 5, 4.1. Where's 4? What the hell? Wait, that can't be right. Where's... Where's 4? Okay, 11 months ago. Okay, so it wasn't 2 years. I don't know why I thought it was 2 years. I was gonna say, is it not... It goes from 4.1 to like the next one is like the short, and then 3.8. Where is it? There it is, way down here. Okay, it's out of order, if that makes sense. Okay. Okay. That is all we're going to do with that, guys. We are going to go ahead and hop over to Paranormal HK now. Paranormal. Oops. Paranormal HK. There we go. There we go. And then let me go ahead and get this game up and running. And hopefully I don't shit a brick today like I did last week. Between 3 and 4 after the fact. Yeah. Because it was like relevant to a degree. Okay.
Enjoy the show.
Guru, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Puzzle game? Is that what it is? For some reason it's named Puzzle Game in OBS. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right. We should theoretically be good in terms of volume. Okay. So Mike doesn't remember what we did last time. We are here below then. Oh shit. Okay. Because I just remembered exactly where we are. So, and if anybody doesn't remember this game, we played it last week. We are essentially a cameraman for a like big paranormal investigator, like content creator group or something, basically. And so when we went on a journey, our girlfriend or like love interest or something gets possessed and like we have to run away from her. We eventually save her. Like fast forwards like 3 months of like dating and getting to know each other, and she vanishes again. And at the same time, we find out that apparently the camcorder that we originally used when we saved her is now cursed. And so every person who uses that camera ends up going to a location and getting, we'll assume killed. We're just going to assume killed. And so far, we've been through one other location where we had like a big puppet spider lady And then after we finished that, we ended up here. And apparently now it's like a Ghost in Red. And that's basically as far as we've got. We've only just started the cameraman portion. Well, do they have to have Grimold date the werewolf? Absolutely fucking not. Especially because Matilda's a bitch the entire time. Okay. The thing is... Stop. Yeah, I was just saying, because if I remember correctly, this was actually a portion... What's she doing? Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, this is fine. I'm guessing we just need to go in this hole. Please, 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 please. A music box. Words on the bottom, but I can't read it. 1986, December 14th. Okay. Can't hide in there. Mommy said I'm cured. I can eat as much chocolate as I want. She will take me to Wonderland when she's back. Okay. Seems fine. Heard something about you? Someone said you were pretty awesome. Who said that? They're lying. Oh, good lord. There's so much. Oh, insulin syringe. Mom will take me to the Ferris wheel when sister is back. She promised. I don't like where this is going. Insulin syringe. Giving her as much chocolate as she wants. And it looks like this fridge is just full of insulin vials and chocolate. Okay, there's options. There's possibilities. Could she have given her child diabetes by feeding her incessant chocolate and just kept giving it to her? Or... I don't know. There's too many options right now. Oh, shit. Oh, God, it's so dark in the center part now. Thank you for the head pats, medic. Okay. Oh! Well, I've never been so startled by the sudden appearance of a Ferris wheel. Oh, what the fuck was that? Okay, maybe I just need to follow the roller coaster? Question mark? Thing 2. There's a doll there. It's the kid's drawings. It looks like there's a merry-go-round down there. Question is, though, do I need to... Okay, maybe let's see. See if I can go interact with this drawing. God, the ambiance. Hi, Hectic. Oh. Doll. Take. Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me go. I think I need to go up too. Because see, there's that sheep one there. Let me see, is there... Yeah, there's another doll there, so I think I need to find a way to get to it. But... here... This is where we got on. Okay, it looks like it's actually at the end. So we can go all the way back down. Who just gets onto the ghost roller? I don't know. This idiot? Looks like it may not loop actually all the way down to the bottom. Oh, maybe it does. Why didn't... Let's keep going and see what happens. Because, like, I don't think I can get onto the Ferris wheel. It's also the pathing for this roller coaster is so jagged. Don't see anything on this floor right now. Can I get off or I can't?
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
People who want the ghost hunting video to be good. I mean, I think technically we're trying to, like, stop people from dying to our cursed camera. This doesn't seem to be anything. I don't think. Maybe it's supposed to be the base of the, I think it's supposed to actually be the base of the Ferris wheel, but it's been, like, raised into the sky. Let me see, what is... There's something way up there. Okay, hold on. So it let us get off here. But thing is, I don't also see like a stairwell anywhere. And doesn't seem like anything comes close enough to this lamb thing. But see, there's another track way up there. Oh, it's the lights reflecting on the window. Okay. Checking the corners to see if I can see. There's that stairwell. Okay, hold on. Okay, no, that's not a stairwell. That's the apartment. But... okay, let me try something. I can't jump. Chat, do I do something risky and see if I can... I'm gonna try it. Oh, shit. I overshot. I can't tell if it... That was a horrifying sound. I think it pushed me off the top. I don't think I could land on it. Okay. I was gonna see if I could land on it and then maybe ride it around. Maybe I could jump into it. That seems like a possibility. But, like, I can't interact with it, it seems. Okay, that didn't work. Oh, this is gonna hurt my ears again. Okay. Zach Hadel? Who? Okay, so I don't think we can do anything with the Ferris wheel right now. Maybe on... Oh, it was around here. So yeah, it looks like there's only 2 glowing sections. Let me see if maybe there's a part where it get like this is I think as close to the Ferris wheel as we got, but let me go see. Maybe I'm overthinking this and I should just go all the way down to see if something happens. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go all the way down to see if something happens. But I don't like the idea that we're going down when we definitely need to go up. Go down to go up. Had another handle called Psychic Pebbles. What? So there's no other connection here. This was just... Wait. Was there anything on this floor? Why did we need to get off here? Why can we get off here? I don't see anything interactable. Okay. Doesn't seem relevant. We're gonna get back on. There we go. Let's go all the way down. Maybe we're not in the puzzle yet. It's like all of these doors are covered. But to go up kind of thing. That's what I was thinking, but it's also like when we fall down there, when we landed in front of the train, or not the train. Did I just my laugh? Hello? Hello? Okay, so there's nothing down here still. I don't think just falling to it. I think falling will just kill me again. But that is a merry-go-round. We are missing something. Okay. Like, I don't think there's any point these tracks, like, overlap. In the case that I could just jump down to it. Maybe do I try jumping on the things again? We'll see. I'm gonna try it one more time and see if maybe like maybe the first time I did it I like pushed myself off. Wait a second. Is there any way to get off on the floor above this one? Because it looks like the thing is there's no staircase. There's just this roller coaster. I don't think I could do a running jump to get to that over there. So there's a separate roller coaster that loops from there. 2 floors down. Maybe I could, I don't know, double jump to it? I'm on it! Okay. Mic check, mic check. Yeah, you good? Hi, Jesse. Actual lively footage. Oh, there's something else here. Okay. Here. So this, we can land right here. There we go. Okay. Oh. So... It doesn't look like there's any reason to get off here right now. Oh! Hello? Okay. Going down to go up kind of thing? No, we had to do the jumpy thing. Okay. So we have the train. We should be able to get the sheep now. Okay. Yeah, I think I just like, I hit W when I tried to land on the thing before. So the end of this section should be the caterpillar level. Not the caterpillar, the sheep. Yeah, there's the sheep. Oh, and the letter. Did Aunt take sister to Ferris wheel? I want to go too. I am sad. Okay. So now I probably have to do like the same thing to get back on the... That's where we came out. Oh, geez. Oh, that was close. Okay, I got nervous. So, maybe now we can go find something at the bottom level? Okay. Oh, we have to get the girls one again. Because we died when we had it last time. Okay, that's why nothing's changed. Okay. So we have all 3, it seems. White and fluff has turned yellow. Okay. Doll in a red dress. Okay. So we know we can fall a little distance. The question is, can we fall to the merry-go-round from like the lowest point of this roller coaster? Because that's still like, what, 4 stories? The what go-rounds? The merry-go-round. The exact thing that I have a play on words as my username? You know. We ain't surviving that, Chief? Yeah, that's what I figured. So... there has to be something. Oh god, do I need to ride the Ferris wheel again? Batman drops people from 10 stories and they live, you'll be fine. They live, but are they functioning? And do you really want... That's one of the welcome mats. Stuck up just like that for some reason. Okay, hold on. Maybe I may have an idea. Maybe I can take him back to the children's room. Which, if I remember right, is back at the end of this section of roller coaster. The rule says live, not live well. Okay. Oh, good lord, I didn't realize how long this thing was. Okay, so the kids' thing should be... Wait, wasn't it on this floor? Wasn't it? Or was it... Where was the kids' room? Chat? Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, it is on this floor. Okay. Let's go see if we can take all these back. What, having to jump on a Ferris wheel? Is that what you're talking about, Ren? Oh no. Okay. I don't like this. Uh-oh.
What's that? What's that?
Ghostface? Ghostface? Who? Follow Kiki to room 111. There's many eyes on Sister. Container. I'm sure that'll be fine. It's totally not gonna be fine, right, chat? Oh! Okay. Okay. Okay, hold on, I'm nosy. So now we gotta go look at the Oh. Key. Okay. Goodness, sorry. Had a sneak up on me. Also, thank you for self-care. Okie dokie. Also, I'm sorry, Ziggy, if I didn't say anything when you came in. How are you doing? That was a long time ago. I'm so sorry. Okay, there's 111. Okay. Okay, I think I get it. Looking at it, looking away from it. So let's do that. Okay. Looking at it. And this one has to look away from it. And then looking to the right. Okay, these two need to be looking at each other. Okay, that's done. And the other two need to be looking at each other. Okay. Okay. Oh! Oh, Jesus. Ooh. Wait, I think I've seen this scene. Where have I seen this scene? Okay, so normal merry-go-round. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Totally normal. Totally normal. Hell yeah, Ziggy. Oh. This looks somewhat similar to the other apartments. Oh. Car key. A sticker for music? Seems like it. Yeah, it's one of those flat flip-up keys. Fuck. Of course. Of course. Hi, Dragon. How are you doing? Okay. Okay. Running. We're running. Sprinting. Sprinting. Okay. I'm looking to see if any of the doors are open and it's stressing me. I don't know where she is. Okay. But say I knew we had to have it. Oh shit! God damn it! Oh no, it's gonna be that. What the oh, it's the camera. Well, many years later, one of Yip's friend Han got his note. He doesn't know what Yip was studying at first because these notes were too difficult to understand. At last, he figured out the meaning of these notes. Yip was studying about an evil spell for a very long time. He planned to cast a spell. When he cast the spell in a gloomy place under a certain condition... Nice try, bitch. Nice try, Iron. Thousands of people's lives would be sacrificed to an evil god. The god would be amused and agreed to revive one life. Ghostface, you just got tricked by a ghost?
原來一直都係你。做節目嗰陣，從來都冇聽過你講。
Huh?
喺城寨返嚟之後，
Something is wrong with Kathy after you came back from the walled city?
其實我一直都懷疑佢係咪又有古怪。
Must keep an eye on her secretly. This was also originally made in Mandarin, so it is kind of broken.
之後再慢慢同你解釋嗰部 DV 機嘅嘢啦。你隔離有個測軌器。
Hey, the ghost detector. Ghost? Fuck.
要小心加維。
Beware of Kathy? Oh, shit. Tool detects spiritual power. It's tailor-made by Ghostface for our show. Shouldn't I take the camera? Fuck. Okay. Across the parking lot to Kiki's. Is this not Kiki's car right here? Okay. I guess I have to go like a long way. Shit. Can't go that way. 1,000 for one, that's a bad trade. True. Kathy's here. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I can't run from her. I don't think, yeah. Oof. Oof. My compass is outside of the locker. Okay, so there is a Heidi locker. It's me, I'm in the closet. Hi, John Twitch chat. Okay, we gotta, I didn't even see her. Wait, is it saying watch out for Kathy? But is Kathy's not the lady in the red dress. What the fuck? Did she just pick up those cars? Oh god, she is. Shit. She's gonna pick those up and see us, I think. Oof. Is this not where you need to go? Is this her car? Oh, you're fucking joking. There's power boxes? Okay, so there was one there. Fuck. Spiritual, those things are having a time. Kind of, yeah. Hold on, let me double check something real quick. Oh, I can't sneak around that. Oh, it just goes to the ceiling. Okay, it looks like there's another one over there. Oh, shit. It's so weird that she suddenly does it at this point, but she has the goofiest little, like, roar. Okay, this is fine. I wish I had noticed this one when I was coming past it. Is that enough? Oh god, there's more. I think it's that other red light over there. Okay, let's hold on. Oh, okay, there she is. Shit, we're gonna hoof it. We're gonna hoof it, we're gonna hoof it, we're gonna hoof it, we're gonna hoof it. Box, 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 box. I'm so slow. I'm so fucking slow. Okay, okay, thank you for the hard tag. Okay. So we've got to be missing, I guess, more boxes? Maybe? Question mark? Those had red lights over them, right? Before they were turned on? Sounded when you turned the last box on, she immediately locked onto you? Oh god, fuck you, John. Okay. Oh, what the fuck? Oh! Oh, okay. That's right. Okay. So it's pointing at me where she is, and I have to avoid where the needle is pointing. So right now she's behind me. Here. Okay. Okay, so she's there. Oh, what? I tried hitting the E through it. Oh, well. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, what? That is not where it was pointing. What the fuck is happening? Okay, okay. Maybe is it... No, okay, that is where she is. That's so weird. Okay. I wanted to test it. So I do have to look... I have to look at the knob and the compass. Okay. I'm just gonna keep running. I'm pretty sure she's still chasing us. Oh, it's covered in talismans. Fucking get her ass! Oh, I didn't hit her hard enough, apparently. Oh! Okay, we got 5 minutes until the ad break. That was the closest we'd gotten to her. Jeez. Jesus, the turning. Jesus, the turning. There she is. Okay. Oh, whoa. How thick is this fucking floor? Where is she? Oh, there she is. Oh, come on! Why would you timer this when she's not even moving? Jesus. From one gauntlet to another, where it's basically just a Hiren. Smack. There she is. Oh, I missed her. God damn it. Okay, there we go. There she is. Where is she? Hello? I can't see. I don't know where she is. Yeah, but this isn't even a fun bump of cars. Because you hit her like a brick wall. The car turns like it's on a fucking dime, or more like it's like a floor cleaner. Compass? Was the compass actually working? I didn't even notice that the compass was working. Oh, it is. The compass is turning. Okay. Oh, she's behind me. Okay, that makes it so much easier. I saw it up there earlier, but I did not even realize that it was spinning. Oh, I didn't hit her hard enough. Oh. I think that was supposed to happen. You're on a weird Zamboni. It turns out the floor is buttered. Hi. Mommy. What? Oh, there's Kathy. Caliban! Welcome in, readers. Dr. Caliban, how was your stream? What were you just chatting about? Do I need to use Kathy? Welcome in, readers. I call her mommy too? No. Oh, shit. I'm sure this will be fine. Welcome in, Raiders. Hope you had a wonderful stream. Is it the Pirates of the Caribbean song? No. We're playing a game called Paranormal HK, aka Paranormal Hong Kong. It is a Chinese-made horror game. Oh, friends! Oh, white. My eyes! My eyes! Welcome in, Raiders. Grins, Caliban, how was your stream? It's also good to see you again. Oh, Grandma. When the clock strikes 8, she will go. Wait, no, this is from the mission before this one. Hi, Max Space. Welcome in, guys. All manner of sinister subjects. Ooh, ooh. We're also actually here. We're gonna snooze the ads. We're gonna snooze the ads since we just had 2 raids. That is totally fine. We can snooze them another 5 minutes because they were seconds away from happening. The fact that it's showing us something from a previous thing makes me feel like. Okay, this is the theater lady. Okay, just gonna go through. Just gonna keep dancing, or oh, there we go. Okay, fishnets, haga, Sporewind. Okay, so we had the other sister from the one apartment complex, then we had the puppet lady, and now we just had the mother of the girl with diabetes. And that was the girl laughing. She can dance if she wants to. She can leave her friends behind. Your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance with her, no friends of mine. Ooh. Oh, it's the camera. Oh, this chair has butt molds. Is it speaking in English? I can't tell. I don't think it's English. Oh, it's Kathy. Hi, Kathy. That's not Kathy, but I can't tell. Oh, it's Ghostface. Is it Ghostface?
Hello. 你醒咗啦?
Finally awake, you did a good job. Oh god, this is Ghostface, isn't it?
冇晒病痛嘅感覺.
Finally free from disease and what?
鬼面啫，呢度係邊度啊？嘉慧咧，我哋快啲揾埋嘉慧，一齊離開呢個爛鬼地方。
Save her and get out of here together.
離開？我點解要離開啊？呢度簡直就係天堂。阿樂，你醒唔醒起自己有幾耐冇食過飯？
Gotta do things. Have fun, Grins. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you had a good stream.
只要摸清規律就可以行走自如。
Beyond time and space, you can do whatever you want once you've learned to do so. Wait, are you the person that did the spell? Also, I just realized she has like scars from her mouth.
你都有好大功勞。
Must praise you. Speaking of which, you did a remarkable thing. This place finally becomes stable and interconnected. What? Finally, my masterpiece is finished? The mouthwashing sequel is weird. Nah, this is the mouthwashing. Mouthwash has a prequel though. Not the guitar jam outro. Okay. Oh, that was it. Huh. That was only an hour. What do we want to do? She just run into the Matrix? I don't know. Like, it's very unclear because the English translations are kind of broken. I can't skip it. I can't skip it. It's okay. There's, wait, 3D asset providers, the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History? Really? I did not know you could get, goodness. Special thanks to Hong Kong Cyberport, Government Records Service of Hong Kong. Oh, and special thanks to you. Aww, aww. That's cute. Oh, Granny in Walled City lied to us. You must find Snow and stop Ghostface. Wait, what? Wait. To be continued. The achievement. Sincere thanks, but the curse, it still exists. This is exactly how that achievement was written. Okay. Huh. Interesting. I wanted to see. Oh, apparently I missed an achievement. What achievement did I miss? Oh, it's a hidden achievement. Of course it is. Of course it is. Oh, well. Oh, well. Damn, I probably actually could have probably finished that last time when we played it. But, You were thinking about putting together a VTM campaign, right? I was considering it. Considering grabbing some friends for a for at least a World of Darkness. I don't know if it's going to be Vampire the Masquerade yet. While I was getting the stuff to clean it, the other dog oh, gross. Also, go check out our new merch. But what do we do, chat? I know they extended the Monster Hunter Wilds beta test. I know. I don't have much of anything else downloaded. I have Zort, which I want to play at some point, but apparently it relies almost entirely on its multiplayer mechanics. So can't play that solo. Apparently it's somewhat similar to like Labyrinthine. I go clean it again. Gross. Gross. If you played Egg Fried Rice? Rin, you ask that all the time. The answer is no. And at this point, I don't remember if it's you or if it's other. I think it's other people too. I think other people have been asking recently too. At this point, I don't think I care to. Also, Chibi Guardsman, I'm sorry I missed your follow. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Because if I remember correctly, it's like, what? It's like a couple minutes game. Like 10, 15 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's on itch.io, isn't it? We watch scary videos to keep up with the horror stuff. That's true. Let me see what we have really quick. Let me see if I have anything. When they put horror in non-horror games, G-Man Lives. I don't know who G-Man Lives is. I had it saved because I thought it'd be funny, but I was probably going to watch it on my own time. But, let me see if I have anything saved in my watch later. I'll give you all the music in the meantime. Oh, ad break is on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Let me get in the corner and give you all the iPad. And I will be back in just a little bit. We'll take a brief break then while I try to see if we can find something to spend like another hour, an hour and a half on. We'll see what happens.
If you
Okie dokie. Chat, I think I have bad news. I think I have bad news. I don't think I'm going to be able to jump topics more than twice today. And it just doesn't look like it's a good day in general for some folks. So I think we're just going to call it. And we will be back on... I forget, do we have Vampire tomorrow? I don't think we do. I think we're off from our Vampire campaign tomorrow night. I think. That's a big think. But instead, we will be back Monday, if not tomorrow night. So let me go ahead and tuck some of these things away and we can figure out who we are going to raid. It looks like Aphrodite's live. Izzy's doing art. Let's raid Izzy. We'll raid Izzy. Izzy looks like, I think she's working on her comic, it looks like. But we will be back on Monday, guys. If not, if we have Vampire tomorrow, or if I get swamped into something, keep an eye on Discord. If you aren't in the Discord, I do recommend joining. If I do anything spontaneous tonight, because I did get an invite to Meet's birthday today, but I had also already promised myself to the wives for tonight. So we will see what happens. We will see what happens. Until then, though, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being awesome. And go give Izzy some love. Good night.